Hey everyone, am I audible? Yep, great. Okay, so sorry for a very general title. I'm gonna speak about my perspective and opinion on future of anonymity in the context of ethics, black hats, and hacks. So first of all, to set up some stage, why anonymity and not privacy, as you've seen in the agenda. So actually, if you would like to define these terms, we can define 3 of them. These are various levels of how private you can get on blockchain. So first is pseudonymity. This is the default. So usually you don't have your name written on the blockchain, you have just your pseudonym or address. And then you can send some tokens from one address to the other. And as you see on the right, it's going to be visible something like that. So one address sends one ETH to the other address, and everybody in the world will be able to see that. The next level, higher level, is anonymity, meaning that the action itself is public, but the sender or the party which is initiating it is not. So what would be visible on chain is that someone sends one ETH to someone. And yet another level is privacy, where basically what is seen to the public is that something happens. So like some cryptographic nonsense is published on chain, which is basically meaningless for anyone but the party which is originating the transaction. So today we're going to focus mostly on anonymity. And just to kind of sketch how it looks like normally, because it may be not so obvious. So blockchains kind of has this vibe that if this is anonymous transfers, it is not. Most of the time, or almost never, it is not anonymous for the parties. So the annoying thing for many users is that, for example, here, the Alice, she's doing some transactions, she's transferring some tokens to some other address, maybe staking something, maybe swapping some tokens. At some point, she decides to make a transfer to Bob. And the annoying part is that at this point, Bob learns Alice's address and can easily backtrack all the transactions Alice has ever done. So by interacting only once with Bob, Alice is revealing the entire history of her transactions to Bob. And even worse than that, not only to Bob, but to everyone, also potentially malicious parties that would like to use it for some evil things. So one may think that, well, you can kind of obfuscate it by creating some additional addresses. So, well, unfortunately, it's going to be still linkable, and well, there are pretty sophisticated ways to unlink it, to unmix it. There are actually companies which are making entire business model around it, around tracking transactions on the blockchain. So this kind of patterns that the user can come up naturally are actually useless in this regard. Yet another thing which often happens and which many people do, is using some third party as a kind of a mixing service. So this third party is typically a centralized exchange like Binance. So what you can do in order to make a fresh account which is not easily linkable to the old one, is you can deposit tokens on Binance, and then you can withdraw them on the other address. And then, well, in effect, you're using Binance as a mixing service, at least for the outside observers. So it is effective to some degree. It's actually pretty effective, at least if you would like to hide just from Bob. What's bad about it is that, well, we're building this decentralized world, and, well, here, to solve the problem of privacy, we are using centralized service. That's not the way it should be. We definitely don't want to keep our tokens at exchanges at all times, just for the sake of privacy. So we would like to get something better than that. So, what's better than these third parties? Crypto magic, like cryptography is better. The same pattern is often used in services such as mixers or anonymizers. I'm not gonna go into technical details how it happens. I guess most of you have heard this magical phrase, ZK snark. It's a buzzword in the recent years. So using ZK snarks and other cryptography, it is possible to create a single pool which in this regard will operate as a text on the previous slide. So multiple users can deposit tokens to this pool, and then by providing cryptographic proofs, they can withdraw them to an address which will be seemingly unconnected. And unlike in the previous slide, where there is an exchange operator which naturally is able to connect the dots, here there is literally no one in the world but Alice that would be able to connect it, which on one hand is good, but on the other hand is bad. So also probably well-known fact that Tornado Cash, the most popular mixer, have been used by many hackers around the world. For example, almost $500 million have been laundered in Tornado Cash by Lazarus Group, which is known to be related to North Korea. Chainalysis claims that 23% of the funds sent to anonymity pools in last year are from illicit addresses. And itself, already, it's very, very bad. I mean, we definitely do not want to support North Korea in any of their undergoings. We definitely don't want to allow hackers to launder their money. But even worse than that, of course, governments are taking the actions, so even normal users get affected because the addresses of Tornado Cash and tools like that get sanctioned, and then even normal, honest users, which have been using them just for the sake of maintaining their own privacy, for which they have every right, even they get affected by sanctions. So it's a major problem. I mean, the privacy is definitely lacking in blockchains, but it's very easy to abuse it, and we've seen multiple cases of abuse already. So what I wanted to explore a little bit are the ways to make a trade-off between remaining anonymous and yet countering black hats. So there are a few ways to go about it. Some of them are naive. I'll start with the more naive ones, or maybe simpler ones, and then go to the more, somewhat more sophisticated ones. So probably the oldest trick in the book is voluntary reveal, or so-called viewing keys. This is something that has been implemented in Zcash long time ago. It's actually also been implemented in Tornado Cash and many other mixing or anonymity preserving products. So how it works is that Alice, in this example, she keeps her full anonymity, and there is no other party which is able to link the addresses, but she has a specific key, a specific way to provide a cryptographic proof for anyone she chooses, which will prove the origins of these funds. So it's good because Alice owns her data. Like definitely we like solutions where there is no trusted party which would have access to Alice's data. It's good because it's useful for financial audits and proving the legitimacy of funds. So, for example, if Alice wants to deposit funds on exchange, it's a convenient way to prove that these funds were not illicit and they are from the legal origin. What's bad about it is that actually it does not counter money laundering. As I just said, Tornado Cash had this mechanism, and even though of course, it was used for money laundering. And why it happens is that, well, it's voluntary. I mean, it's highly unlikely that the hacker will choose to do any kind of reveal. And surely it's possible to find someone to just sell the tokens to, perhaps with some small discount because of the inability to prove, but still, there is market, and I think one could argue that there will always be a market for such shady tokens to be sold at discount. So probably we would like something a bit stronger if we really would like to counter this kind of abuse. The second idea, this one is a bit naive, is proof of innocence. The proof of innocence in general is the idea that one can provide a cryptographic proof assessing that the funds did not originate from some list of addresses. So like there is some blacklisting gate, so there is some on-chain list of addresses which are known to be either sanctioned or otherwise shady. And whenever Alice would like to deposit any funds to Anonymity pools, there is just a simple check whether the funds are originating from the list of these addresses. So, well, yeah, the good thing is that it's simple. The bad thing is that it's pretty easy to circumvent. I think the main driving example for me is usually the example where someone hacks a bridge, for example, and then wants to launder the money. So, in this example, if Alice is fast enough that she can deposit funds before the hack is detected, there is absolutely no problem for her. So, well, that does not counter money laundering, at least not the kind that have been on the previous slides. So, not the loud hacks and stuff like that. A bit better method, proof of innocence on withdrawal. So here, Alice can deposit funds, but whenever she would like to withdraw, then she needs to present the proof that these funds did not originate from the bad addresses. So the good thing is that she owns her data, and it seems to be actually effective. Like, if anyone knows something about the mixers, usually people want to keep the tokens in the mixer for longer time, because otherwise, just from the timing, it's easy to link the exchange. If someone link the addresses, if someone deposits and withdraws within the same day, let's say, a big amount, it's pretty obvious pattern, and it's pretty obvious to link these two actions. So here, if Alice deposits and then would like to withdraw before the address lands on the blacklist, well, it's already pretty problematic because this pattern will be linkable. Of course, there is an entire list of problems with that. So it's technically problematic. She needs to compute the proof. These proofs tend to be actually pretty hard. Blacklist needs to be updated frequently, and well, it's pretty subjective which address should be there, which should be not. So there is some decision factor, which is not obvious how to go about it. There is some problem with Black Hat dividing the funds. So again, another technical problem, and there is also weird scheme that Alice can use. So what she can do is she can quickly, after the hack, deposit the tokens. Then she can already withdraw them. Like, there is a risk that this will be linked, but she's okay with that. Because she's gonna deposit it again, withdraw again, deposit again, and she's gonna run these circles for perhaps entire week. And eventually the hack is revealed, and the initial address is revealed, that this was the evil one. But it's not easy to act now because, well, there has been an entire week of Alice running in these circles. And in the meantime, legitimate users have been also doing deposits and withdrawals. So right now, I mean, we could ban all the addresses that have been used, but then we would definitely ban some addresses of honest users as well. And that's a risk by itself. As I said before, like banning and making problem for regular users is unfortunately something that happens, and that's something that, well, we definitely do not want in the system either. So this pattern, I mean, this is a very problematic thing for this proofs of innocence, and I don't think there is an easy technical solution for that. The last idea is external reveal controller, or like that's how I call it. So the idea here is that Alice needs to have kind of an ID in the system, and there is some party outside that knows this ID. So whenever it happens, so that the hack is discovered and the deposit to the anonymity pool then is discovered that was from the illicit address, then this controller makes a decision whether to reveal or to not reveal the entire trace. So this is there are some properties of the ID system. I don't think I have time to go through it. But the key question is, well, who is that controller actually? So first note, well, the previous solutions also required some designated party, at least to, for example, operate the blacklist. So it's not the problem only of this solution, but well, who is the controller? So it can be a single party in the, of course, the most obvious scenario. So for example, there can be a KYC provider acting as such a controller to make a decisions what to reveal and what to not reveal. It can be a group of parties that share this secret, so the decision needs to be done by the specific committee. And perhaps it may be a DAO that would be deciding which addresses are really illicit and which things we really want to track down. One point, the last point, the caveat is that it's not the same actually as in the case of blacklist. In the case of blacklist, it's only about the decision. In the case of this reveal controller, there is this secret that we don't want to leak. So besides the fact that we need something to make the decision, like a DAO, we need actually a place to store this particular secret. So it's a bit harder actually than making a DAO for blacklisting, although still quite possible. We can make. I mean, sharing secret in big committees is very much doable. So it's not impossible. Yeah. So that's the remark. So the conclusion is that. Yeah, when it comes to countering black hats, there are basically these three ways: proof of innocence, voluntary reveals, and reveal controllers. At least the ones that I've seen being explored. And in Aleph Zero, in the product we call Liminal, right now we're targeting the reveal controller in the evolving way. So we're starting with a very simple, and then we're planning to make bigger and bigger committees. And perhaps with time we're experimenting with proof of innocence. But as I said before, right now the technical problems with that seems pretty hard to solve. So I think some at least small cryptographic breakthrough is still needed to make it operational. Thank you.